Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Patrick Allman from Stop Doing Nothing. I apologize if the show is getting started a few seconds late. As is usual with technology, we had some technological problems, so I apologize for that. Welcome to another episode of the Blog Talk Radio show for Stop Doing Nothing, the show for high achievers. For those of you that are listening for the first time, this is a weekly web-based radio show hosted out of Oklahoma City, where Stop Doing Nothing is based. And Stop Doing Nothing is a community and training area for high achievers, high personal achievers, high business achievers. And if you want some more information, I encourage you to go to the website, stopdoingnothing.com, or to go to one of our social media locations. My name is Patrick Allman. I've been running a company called Focus Consulting and Stop Doing Nothing for the past 14 years, and we are based here in Oklahoma City. And we have a weekly web radio show to show people how to be more productive in their lives, in their personal lives, and in their business lives. Right now, the show is taped every Thursday at 4 p.m. Central Time for just about 30 minutes. That's enough time for me to get in a lesson for you to get in, listen in the evening, and get out and possibly go on and listen to another one of the shows. If you want to be kept up to date about what's going on in the show, or if you're listening live right now, we have a live chat room at blogtalkradio.com/stopdoingnothing. Now, at the bottom, you should see a way to chat with me live right now while I'm recording this. If not, if you want to follow up on this and listen to it later, I would encourage you to get this show on your calendar. Again, 4 p.m. Central Time. I believe that's Greenwich Mean Time minus 5 or 6 hours. I'm not quite sure right now for our international listeners. Also, if you find the information useful, please take the following steps so we can keep you up to date immediately on what's going on. Subscribe to the Blog Talk Radio email list at stopdoingnothing.com. Over on the right-hand side, we have an email list where we keep you up to date with tips, training, business lessons, conference lessons we have coming up, everything that's going on in the Stop Doing Nothing world, the world for high achievers. We would also encourage you to follow the Facebook page at facebook.com/stopdoingnothing, and also my Twitter account, which is @Patrick Allman. If you are listening in live, we do have a live call-in number where you can call in, give me your feedback, let me know that you like what you heard, or maybe some ideas that you have on a particular topic. And that live call-in number is area code 424-222-5282. And as always, I encourage you to share what you hear about this show on your social media sites. If you like what you're hearing, share it on your Facebook profile, share it on your Twitter account, share it on your LinkedIn account. Let's just spread the information that we're building and that we're training on when it comes to making people high achievers. This has been a passion of mine for a long time, the idea of creating people that know how to get the most out of every single minute, out of every single day, and out of every single decision. And today, show 4 on December 20th, 2012, that's our primary topic, how to make fast decisions. One of the things I learned a while back in my personal life and in my business life is that the people that can move fast, the people that can get things done, the people that can decide, move forward, are the ones that get further in life, and they just basically make more progress than other people. So today we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be spending time talking about the decision-making process, maybe the places where you spend time making better decisions, maybe faster decisions, maybe some areas where you should be not spending so much time making decisions, and the whole process of decision making. And are there certain decisions that you should even be making? This show is targeted for high achievers, and one of the ways to be a high achiever is to decide at some level that there are decisions that you should not be involved with. So in addition to deciding whether or not we should be deciding on something, you need to, well, I guess that's the whole point right there. In addition to deciding on what you should be taking a lot of time and deciding on, or what you should be deciding on rapidly, you should just be considering throughout my presentation today what you should even be involved with when it comes to the decision-making process. If you're thinking at a high level, if you're thinking how to architect your life, or if you're thinking of how to architect your business, there are just some decisions that you should not be involved in, and we're going to cover that towards the end of the show. Again, if you want to participate, you can go to blogtalkradio.com/stopdoingnothing for the live chat room. Call in at 424-222-5282 during the live show, or chat with me on Facebook, social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. You can multiple ways to track us down. Okay, let's get into the meat of the show. The most productive people out there, the real high achievers of the world, which is what the show is focused on, are really good at many things. In our previous show, I've talked about really wickedly cool time management, how to get things done in shorter periods of time, how you should think about time, how you should manage your calendar. Part of that process, though, is also the decision-making process. One of the things that you should be doing is when it comes to making decisions, is you should excuse me, I'm thinking about something here while I'm talking about it, is you should get into the habit of just maybe taking smaller amounts of time when it comes to making certain decisions and just getting them out of the way faster. That's what high achiever companies and that's what high achiever people do, is they make decisions fast and they move on, make decisions fast and then move on. We're going to be talking here a little bit about some of the things you should be spending more time on when it comes to the decision-making process. But for the most part, most of the decisions that we go through on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis don't require a lot of time and a lot of thought to be involved with. However, most people spend way too much time thinking about decisions that just really are not that important. One of the major kind of life-altering things in my life that caused me to be more productive was this concept of rapid decision-making. I discovered this a few years back, and it has really changed my life. Just the concept of when something comes into my head or something's presented to me in person or in email or on a phone call, you know what, decide and move on. Spend time focusing on the really big decisions that matter, and on the ones that just don't matter, move on. Make a choice, move on. Make a choice, move on. That's how you should be thinking about your time day after day. Snap decisions, boom, boom, boom. Make a decision and then move on. Why is this? Because decisions cause you to act, and most people kind of delay that decision-making process, which delays the acting process, the taking action. One of my favorite phrases is the fact that action is the great thing that escapes most people. Well, before anyone can act, they need to make the decision. They need to decide, what am I going to work on? And people get hung up in that thinking process and that analyzing and, I should consider doing this kind of marketing for my company, and I can market 100 different ways. Well, let me analyze each one of the 100 different ways. How many contacts? Which niche should I work on? How many mailing pieces should I do? What should they look like? What color should they be? Yada, yada, yada. That whole process of analyzing things over and over and over is what causes most people to just get frustrated and say, you know what, I'm going to move on. I'm not going to make this decision. And so the decision-making process needs to be speeded up and focused on the things that really matter and defer the things that really don't matter. And this goes true whether or not it's on your personal life and on your business life. And another reason that I think you should consider making faster decisions is the fact that most decisions we make in life, very few are kind of life-threatening, life-altering, and cannot be changed. And this goes true in business and personal lives. There are certain decisions, like major surgery, for example, that you obviously have to take some time on to decide. But the other things, they just really don't matter that much. Major surgery, relationships, large purchases, those things, yes, take the time to do your research on. But other things, starting your own business, ways to market your own business, just decide, take a couple of minutes, think about those things, decide and move forward. So as you're developing your new decision-making process, you need to kind of split up what are the things you want to spend a lot of time on deciding, and what are the things that you really don't need to spend a lot of time on deciding, and what are the things that you do not need to be even involved in deciding. If you're someone who owns the business or you want to own a business, you need to start thinking at a higher level. And by a higher level, I mean you need to remove yourself from the minutia and from the day-to-day processes of running your business. Your job as a high achiever and as the business owner is to run your business at a very high level, to worry about things like marketing, to worry about things like sales, to worry about some of the bigger decisions that really control and affect the direction of your vessel, the direction of your ship. There are other things out there that you really don't have to be involved with on a day-by-day basis. Things like exactly how a marketing piece would look, creative decisions, colors, shapes, things like that. Maybe how the furniture is going to be laid out or what kind of furniture we should even buy. You should obviously be concerned about your costs because your costs affect your profitability, which affects you can hire. But think about some of those other things that maybe you'd like to have a lot of control over, but they really don't matter. And you're taking time being involved in that minutia, and you're taking time away from the other things. Your job as a business owner, for example, is to grow your business and provide return on your investor's dollar or on your personal dollar. Your job is not to make sure you've got the perfect furniture. So if you're spending time deciding how the office should be laid out, or maybe how a particular marketing piece should be looking, you're not spending time focusing on the networking portion of your business. You're not spending time figuring out how can I get my message out there to the widest reach possible. I've resigned myself to realizing that the things that are not critical to my business, I'm going to start outsourcing. I'm going to start giving to other people. It's not a good use of my time to spend time necessarily doing all of my own social media updates, for example. I love spending time on social media. I'm called upon all the time on the press to be a social media speaker. But you know what? As much as I like to talk about that and as good as I am, that may not be the best use of my time. Maybe my time is figuring out how can I get more of my content written down to get a book published or to get my second or third or fourth book published. How can I get more of my content down into a DVD training series? How can I schedule more webinars to bring income into my business and to share the information I have to help other business owners grow? I don't really care what kind of chairs we order for the office or what kind of wood the desks are made out of or maybe where the particular desks point or maybe what kind of food we should have at the company Christmas party. Those are decisions that you might want to consider deferring to somebody else who also specializes in that type of decision-making process. So I have a list here of things that I want you to consider, again, as you're thinking about the decision-making process, things you should spend time on and things you should kind of defer when it comes to the decision-making process. I made a list here before the show of things, for example, that you should think long and hard about. Obviously, things like personal relationships, your marriage, how you spend time in there, what you do with your spouse, what are the best ways to basically grow your personal relationships with your spouse, with your family, and things like that. Spend some time focusing on that because at the end of the day, that is really all that matters. Terminating a bad relationship, and this could be in business or personal lives. When you choose to sever your relationship with a person or a business, this is going to change the direction of your business and your life a little bit. So you might want to spend some time, maybe an evening or two, kind of pondering over that kind of decision. Large personal or business purchases. If you are running your business correctly, you are looking at every single dollar that's going out the door. And every single time you spend money on a new monthly service or a new large capital investment, that is money going out the door that you need to basically really consider how you're going to be handling that. I would suggest you get in the habit of keeping track of every single penny that's coming in and going out of your business. That is what I do in my business. I have spreadsheets that I could pull up that show you every single month on every single day what expenses I expect to spend and what my profitability is on each dollar that comes into the business or each dollar that I invest into my marketing process. And you should have that also. Major surgery. I mentioned this earlier. Spend time obviously thinking about major surgery, having kids, and even what's come into my world recently is the decision on whether or not to form partnerships or do joint ventures with another organization. I mentioned a little bit ago about terminating a bad relationship. Well, you know what? At the same time, before you go in to start doing maybe a joint venture with another organization, you might want to spend some time deciding, you know what return are you going to get out of this? What good short-term and long-term benefits you have? How is it going to benefit the other person? And is this partnership really going to help you target your niche audience inside of that target group that you're partnering up with? Spend some time thinking about those things. I'm sure you could probably come up with a list of other things as to where you should spend a lot of time thinking about them, because they are a big deal. Think about the things, the big things. And there's a book out there that's called "Don't Sweat the Small Stuff." Well, that's essentially what I'm talking about, is don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small decisions. As we go on, by the way, we're in the middle of the show here. I'd like to put out a reminder. If you are listening, don't forget to hop into the live chat room. Don't forget to also go to subscribe to the email list at stopdoingnothing.com, or get on the Facebook page at facebook.com/stopdoingnothing, or follow the Patrick Allman Twitter account at PatrickAllmond. And if you even like the Blog Talk Radio show, I believe you can go to blogtalkradio.com/stopdoingnothing and subscribe to be notified when we have a new radio show. And also there's an iTunes link there. You can subscribe via iTunes, so whenever we have a new episode come out, you automatically get that new episode on your iOS device for you iPad and iPhone lovers. And I have my iPhone right here. I live and die by it. Okay, let's keep on pressing on. Things that you should decide on very shortly, and most of it's going to be focusing around business, but things that you should take a very short period of time to decide on. And by short period, I'm talking about, probably no more than a day. The first one is, should you even start your own business? If you have any kind of specialty or expertise and you think you can make money doing it, you know what? Decide and move forward. Or decide, I'm happy with my own 8 to 5 job. I'm happy working my 40 hours a week and going home. Starting a business is a very big deal, but it's also very easy to start one, and it's very easy to stop one. So you know what? Don't focus too much time on deciding whether or not to start a business or not. But when you do, move forward. This is kind of amazing to me, but I've talked to people sometimes, I give coaching to people sometimes that have decided, that I've been thinking about for years whether or not to start a business. I'm like, well, what do you do? I go to like some entrepreneur or some networking events, and people say, well, I make specialty men's shoes, for example. That's what I want to do. I've been thinking about it for several years, but I'm not really sure if I should start my business. Well, you know what? That person that's going to delay that process, that process of delaying whether or not to even start the business, is going to carry forward into the process of even running the business. So if it takes you 2 or 3 years to decide whether or not you're going to start a business, then maybe you should just not even consider starting that particular business. Now, there are certain exceptions. Maybe that the financial planning isn't right, or maybe the time of your life isn't right. I understand there are just different variables that affect that, but if someone has decided to start a business or not start a business because there's a factor that's getting in the way, and that factor is not really going to go away anytime soon, then that person is going to just keep coming up with reasons as to why they can't start that business. So if you're going to decide to start a business, do it, make the decision fast, move forward. A lot of times I talk to people that are that want to be in the content production business. That's one of the things I do, is I produce content. You're listening to me produce content right now. A blog is a big one. People, talk about, should I start a blog? What should I write about? Yada, yada, yada. Don't even talk to me about whether or not you should start a blog. All a blog is a web page of you updating information on a regular basis. There is no excuse for a business to not be sharing their information and their knowledge on a regular basis with their clients and with their potential clients. You can't give me a financial excuse, because I can go to blogger.com or blogspot.com and start a blog in about 5 minutes. You can't give me the excuse that you have nothing to write about. Goodness gracious, how long have you been alive? If you've been alive over about 15 years, you've got some life experience you could probably write about. There are different marketing techniques or marketing niches that you don't need to be spending a lot of time on deciding. Should you meet with someone at a networking event and foster that business relationship? A lot of times, you see planned networking events where people will exchange cards and they'll say, oh, you know what, we should meet up for coffee later. And before you do something like that, decide on a very rapid level, look at that person's business card and decide at a very rapid level whether or not there's any value in you spending time with that person. Again, if you've listened to some of the previous shows, you'll realize that I am a stickler when it comes to time management. You only have so many hours, so many days, so many weeks, and so many months in your life. You have a limited number. They will expire at some point in time. You will run out of them, and you don't know when that's going to be. We talked earlier about one of the things you should spend a lot of time working on when it comes to the decision-making process are family relationships. That's where you need to be spending your time, are things that matter in your business and your family relationships. You don't have to necessarily meet up with coffee with every single person you meet up at a networking event. Think long and hard. Do your research online about them and see if it's a good fit. If you're going to a networking event and you're someone who makes billboards and there's someone who, does something that would never benefit you and you would never benefit them, and they contact you and say, well, we should get together for coffee, you might say, you know what, this is not a good fit. Be nice about it, be civil about it, but just say that it's not a good fit and that you should move forward. There is nothing wrong with that. That is you taking control of your time. That is you managing the decision-making process. Your competition's probably not doing that. Your competition, who went to the same networking event, will probably meet up with coffee or wine or drinks or whatever with everybody out there. Not you, though. You are a high achiever if you're listening to the show, and your time matters. Your time is valuable. So you need to treat it as such. Value your own time, and don't necessarily meet up with everyone that wants to pick your brain or take you out to coffee, whatever it is. I've noticed that it's pretty expensive for people to take me out to coffee, or at least it used to be, because I turned most of those down now. The idea of driving to a coffee shop, now I'm losing valuable time that I could be consulting on a phone call with somebody. I'm spending gas money. I'm putting wear and tear in my car. I'm being at a coffee shop. A lot of times it's kind of humorous because I'll go to a networking event or I'll go to a meetup with coffee for somebody, and they won't even buy the coffee. I'll go to a Starbucks and I'll buy my own $2 cup of coffee, and they're like, and then they'll want to pick your brain for a while, and then you leave and your time driving back and your wear and tear in your car driving back, and the gas money you spent, and it was nothing out of it. You could have made that decision even before you got in the car as to whether or not that was a good networking fit. So focus on those. That's a good way for a business person to waste a lot of money, is irrelevant networking. And that's going to be a future radio topic, I guarantee it. Connecting with the right and the wrong people. And it's not a matter of ego. It's not a matter of being selfish with your time. It's not a matter of, thumbing your nose down at certain people. But again, if you want to be a high achiever, remember, you're listening to this radio show, Stop Doing Nothing, the show for high achievers. If you want to be a high achiever, you have to make some cold, hard, fast decisions that are going to excel your life and excel your business. And this is one of them. Not everybody is a good friend to connect with. Not everybody is a good networking contact. Okay, and let's move on to the last one. One of the things you should make a rapid decision on, whether or not you should write a book. If you're someone like me who needs to demonstrate their knowledge on a regular basis, writing a book isn't even an option. You should not even think about it. Just do it. Just get started. Figure out your topic, figure out your layout. Contact Patrick if you want some more information about how to do this, but spend very little time deciding whether or not you should write a book and what the book should be about. And even after this list I have of things that you should take a relatively short period of time to decide about, there are things that I think that you need to spend an extremely small period of time thinking about. Email management is one of them. Email management and phone management. You should be taking a very short period of time for each email in your inbox, and I'm sure there's entire philosophies on this, entire philosophy programs even, as to what to do as email comes into your inbox. Have you ever gone to visit somebody at an office or in a corporate environment, and they open up their Outlook, and in their Outlook, you see tons of email, and they're like, I'm about 3,000 emails behind. And I'm like, are you kidding? If you're 3,000 emails behind, number one, you've kind of dissed some people because there's some people that you're never going to get back to. 2, you're never going to catch up on 3,000 emails. You should just highlight 2,500 of them and delete them right now because you're never going to get to them. And, 3, how did you ever get that far behind? For every email out there that you're getting in your inbox, you should be looking at it and deciding, reply to it, make it a very fast reply, go move it to your to-do list so you can prioritize it and schedule it, or just delete the darn thing. And something else that you should do when it comes to the email management process is learn how to unsubscribe to things. This is some area that I think a lot of people kind of overcommit to, and that I've recently, in like the past year, decided, you know what, I don't have to subscribe to every single thing out there. I need to, let me see if I get this right. You need to decide proactively what you're going to read on the internet and not subscribe to everything out there. This saves you from getting bombarded by emails all the time. You can, if you subscribe to enough newsletters and enough email marketing programs out there, you can get tons of email. And then you're just having to delete because you're never going to get rid of the darn things. So I've resigned myself to subscribe to a very limited number of email newsletters. That way it just cuts down on my decision-making process. And, of course, I was talking about phone calls earlier. When your phone comes in, decide who you want to talk to at the time, who you don't want to talk to. Most phone calls, if they're not family, and they're not a very good level business contact, they can wait. If you are in the middle of getting something productive done, like listening to this podcast or working on a marketing piece or doing online video, for example, choose to ignore your phone. Make that decision. You know what? There's no harm in letting all of your voicemails stack up one day if you're working on something and you're being really productive and answering them the next day, or answering them, at 4 o'clock every night, or let the voicemail say for a certain day and just say, you know what, 9 o'clock every morning, that's when I return voicemails. And then for the rest of the day, you pretty much don't answer your phone unless you need to for a critical reason. Don't think that you have to answer your phone every single time it rings. Make that decision. Way too many people do that. And if you even heard me, it's kind of funny that my phone actually rang when I started this recording here. So don't answer your phone all the time. One last topic we're going to cover, which I kind of talked about at the beginning in the beginning a little bit, is choosing what to decide on. Choose what you want to care about. I learned this lesson a while back, and I try to enforce it as much as possible. Is that I have I have a graphic designer, I have an assistant I work with, and there are just certain things that I choose to not pay attention to anymore. Graphic design is one of them. I have a very good graphic designer, and I know anything that she produces is going to be good. So the question is whether or not it's going to be good. It's whether or not Patrick wants a square corner here or a rounded corner here, things like that. Those are the things that I tend to focus a lot on. That's how, when it comes to my graphic design, as long as the colors are right, as long as it's motivational, as long as it's aggressive, I really don't care. I've got other things to work on besides necessarily focusing on exactly how a graphic piece should look, how a marketing piece should look. So I hoped that the tips I've given you today and the discussion about the rapid decision-making process has been useful. We are just about out of time. I wanted to remind you that, again, this show is on every week at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's because we're in Oklahoma, and that's the end of my workday here. My name has been Patrick Allman, and it's still Patrick Allman, actually. You can follow us or at facebook.com/stopdoingnothing. I would really encourage you to go to that Facebook page and like that, because I post stuff on there every single day, and we have a high level of engagement on that page. Subscribe to this show so you get notified. Go to stopdoingnothing.com and get on the email list on the right-hand side. If you're listening to the show on Blog Talk Radio or on my blog, please use the social media buttons are there. Like it if you like it. Share it with your friends and recommend it. Do whatever you can to help me get this message out. I appreciate you listening to this show. Our next show will be next week in a week, even though it's right after Christmas. I still anticipate doing a show, again, every Thursday at 4 p.m. Now go out there, be a high achiever, stop doing nothing, and listen to us next week. You have a great week, have a great holiday season, and we will talk to you again soon.